Hi, everyone, and welcome to XR for Work. You notice we have a new logo behind us. It's been a busy couple of months here for XR for Work. We've entered into a new partnership, changed our logo, but you see it's the same Loom avatar in front of you, the same Rick here hosting the show that I hope provides you with value and information in assessing and judging the applications and platforms that you're interested in for your professional life and business. And so with that, I'm excited to bring you our first product for review under the XR for Work heading. If you need to reach out to us, please email us at xrforwork@gmail.com and stop by the Facebook and Twitter accounts. Join them, please. And hopefully, if we can see you around LinkedIn, look for Rick Castile or Nicholas Johansson, who make up XR for Work. Well, today we're going to talk about a topic that has really been in front of my mind in exploring a lot of the meeting and collaboration sites over the past several months. All of them with rich tool sets, great graphics, wonderful advances in avatars. But there's an element of it when you're talking about meeting and collaboration having to do with, well, who are you meeting and collaborating with? Who is that team? And what really links you together beyond the day at the office? And so there is this team building and engagement element that I think is very important to be explored, and fortunately is being explored by Remio VR. And we got to actually meet with the founder, one of the founders of Remio, and we're going to talk about our findings here. And so any of you who've worked in corporate environment or even within a small team have probably participated in something like you're seeing in the videos on the screen here today. And if you're like me, when I watch these and we're selecting them to put into the presentation, you can't help but smile because it brings back some pretty pleasant memories of things you get to do with your teammates that aren't the normal day at the office, but are extremely important from the perspective of building relationship. And we have a lot of current challenges now around the office setting or the corporate setting or the business setting in building that relationship and that team element of a group of people all gathered together towards under a single purpose, right? I mean, obviously the coronavirus pandemic has just change the face of corporate America, right? We're all out of the office, we're working from home. And if you're like me, you maybe go in once or twice a week, but the bulk of your time is still spent in the home office on call after call after call and Zoom and WebEx and Skype and all the other platforms out there that we're trying to leverage to be as personable and connected as possible, but often fall short. And even when we can get together, we have to be aware of being socially distant, right? We're wearing masks, and in my particular case, when I'm in healthcare, I've got a visor on, we can't be in the same room. So a lot of precautions. And, costs are certainly an issue now. The economics of what's happened because of coronavirus is straining all of our budgets. So things like travel become more and more difficult to argue for and find within, a company or organization's budget. And we also want to continue to be very aware of how that travel and getting people together contributes to, greenhouse gases and concerns about our environment. So, how do we arrive at these concepts and these outcomes that we are struggling so hard to get to, right? Where is the ability to create group identity, unity, respect, strengths and weaknesses, and then develop caring, empathy, and trust amongst the group, right? And this is just a quick overview and brain dump about what we're trying to do from a team engagement perspective. And the processes that we go through, like shown on those videos at the beginning, kind of help us create these pleasant experience where we have these shared struggles or get a chance to be in constructive conflict, play games, leverage creative processes together, have these shared experiences and these fun risk-taking kind of exercises where there's shared problem solving, and you get these personal revelations and rewards that again end up connecting people so that they can work better together. And so how do we keep our teams connected and performing? And how can VR help with that, right? Addressing all those issues that we saw a slide or two ago, yet still gets at least some of the outcomes that we're hoping to from a team building perspective. Well, I came across this product called Remio. Serendipitously at the same time I was kind of contemplating this issue. And if you go to their website, this is what you'll see, this little video loop that I have playing, and here's their line, right? Team building delivered to your door. We see a future where people use AR and VR headsets instead of monitors and laptops for their work. With a huge VR office building for each company, teammates can choose to work in private, serene spaces, open office plans spaces next to their colleague, maintaining the ability to chat, and you can, but at the same time, then go jump into fun team building games. And you see this kind of island, idyllic setting, this mansion, the palm trees. And then as you go through the loop, you notice that there's this element of play to this, right? Yes, you have the spaces where you're working, you have the project planning, you have the whiteboards, but you can also go into these portals that you're seeing here and play together. And I think this element of playing together is what, again, helps build that team through all those processes that we reviewed earlier. And so this is Remio's dream, right? And I will say right up front, right, they're still building this out. This is early, but it's at a point where they're actually in business being able to sell their services at the present release that they're at, and they're continuing to grow. So you can see remote team building, right? Headsets delivered to your team, start playing and collaborating in VR. So we'll get into that more. Now, things to come, 70-inch screen in your pocket. So what Jos is describing to us is that they envision the mansion being a place where you can actually come and work on your computer in that space, go to a meeting, go to a project room, and then go out with some others and play some games later. Or during the day, actually go into a private discussion area where you can kind of brainstorm and share some thoughts and ideas while you're shooting at targets floating off over the ocean there. So they envision this as a kind of a whole office space with that kind of socialization element built right into it. You don't have to leave the space, go into kind of your Oculus home, try to get everybody together, go into something else. It all takes place right in that one area. And so this is an experience that I'm going to share with you that we had. There were, I think, 7 or 8 of us from the XR for Work Facebook group that were hosted in Remio by Jos, the co-founder of Remio, and this was us in the project room, and he was kind of demonstrating, that you have the wristwatch kind of UI where you can pull up and then create these sticky notes. You have your Jira board to do and progress done. And you'll immediately notice also the type of avatars that are in use here. And you can take a look. They're very half and half. If you're familiar with that game and that world where they're very purposefully human-like, right? You've got 2 arms, 2 legs, a head, a body. But other than that, they're based on kind of these fudgy, amorphous characters that are supposed to be slightly humorous, identifiable by color, but no features in regards to gender or race or hair color or age or weight. And Joe says that was a very purposeful design decision because they wanted to avoid those kind of identifiers while people were in Remio. We'll have to see how that kind of sticks and how that gets accepted. Now, I'm going to pause here again. This is kind of the main open space area. Just Yost and his team actually meet here and do their stand-up every day. Out here on the horizon, you'll notice that, this is the beach area. You've got a basketball hoop here. And when you first land, you kind of land out in that area and you're greeted by this basket of basketballs and frisbees. And so can kind of immediately engage in a little bit of light play and discussion and come into the main hall area, off of which you can see us exiting the kind of project planning room. Now, there's 2 methods of movement here. You can walk or you can teleport, so you can kind of see Yos's avatar kind of flying through the air and some of us flying through the air. And you'll need to notice some of us look a little more squat than others. Mitch looks like his legs is bent and he's about half our size. He's sitting in a chair. Some of us are standing. Some of us are sitting. And now we're going over to this area where there are these 4 private rooms. You probably can't see that text there. The 2 on the right actually have little games and toys in them that can be played with, and the 2 on the left are just seated areas off over the ocean for discussion. So you can kind of pick and choose which one you want to go into. But when you go into those areas, your conversation is muted out from anybody else that might be standing outside that particular space. And so Yost is just kind of having a conversation here with us about some of the design decisions that went into Remio and its current kind of state. And I'm going to jump forward here a little bit, and you can kind of see all our avatars here. Now, here we're entering one of the private rooms. So those of us who are outside that private room barrier can't hear anything that's going on or any discussion that's happening within the private room area. And there are these little targets and little guns that are available and floating around in the room. And personally, I've been in business and in healthcare for almost 40 years now. And I have gotten to the point where I have no issue with with their cell phones in meetings or doing other work and multitasking, because I believe that there are levels to our thought that require us almost to be in physical engagement with something while our brain is thinking about something else. And otherwise, we kind of tend to drift off, right? So you can see here, kind of there's some of us outside the room and some of us inside the room. And you can pick up these little guns and shoot the targets. Now, one of the things that immediately happened, and Joe says this happens with every group that comes into the area, is you start shooting each other. And they found this kind of interesting little thing that with the avatars, the darts would bounce off and kind of ricochet amongst everybody in the area. And again, people found that funny. And again, I think that's a relationship building kind of thing that occurs very incidentally when you're in these kinds of environments that don't interrupt a business process or a discussion or work happening, and can often lend to, again, just increasing the relationships and memories, shared memories that people have when they're together. So that's one of the areas. And again, this is Yost kind of speaking to us. There's, again, 6, 7 of us in this area with him. And, it was very striking to me that despite this level of kind of avatar interaction, we've been in many other environments, and if you've seen the show, we've seen many other environments that have very elaborate high-end avatars, and they're great. There's nothing wrong with them. But I didn't perceive that there were limitations to my engaging with somebody utilizing this level of avatar, necessarily than something that was high-end with facial cues that were going on, because they tend to be inaccurate and not really, it's an algorithm trying to guess what the facial interaction should be. And so we could get it right away here. There was no trouble whatsoever. Okay, so we sat in here for a good 10 minutes having a conversation, and then we went out, and this is just one of the whiteboard areas, right? A lot of discussion about the mechanics of the whiteboard. And again, Jos is very forthright about, hey, we're still working on this, and in fact, liked hearing and getting the feedback that we were able to provide, being one of the larger groups that he's hosted in here for a demo. And so you can see, there's 4 of us over here around the one board playing with the markers, and more than one person can be up at a time kind of writing on the whiteboard. And then we'll leave here and we'll go into the actual large boardroom or presentation room. This was a, very nice space, very large screen up front. This kind of circular table with seats. There wasn't a sitting mechanic per se in here, although he did have us all come up to the seat so he could take a picture of the group. So we kind of either knelt down or, like I said, many of us were already in seats anyway, so kind of fit into those spaces. And they're still working on the component to put up the presentation on the board. They do that right now kind of in the back end when they work with you on developing your event with them. But hopefully very soon they're going to have the capability for people as they come into the office space to do this. And this is Jos just kind of taking a picture of us here. And so the real exciting element now, once we leave here, is we go into this area, and you'll see it right here, these 3 doors. And you'll see this lock panel by 2 of them. These are the portals into the group play areas. And right now there were 3 of them. There's hide and seek, there's paintball, and there's tower defense. The hide and seek is very much like the half and half hide and seek, and you'll see a demo of that in just a minute. Paintball, a lot of fun. I mean, just imagine paintball. And then tower defense is actually, at the time of this recording, they're using installed copies of Elven Assassin. Now, there's a limitation to Elven Assassin that you can only have 4 people at a time in, and there are some issues in making sure that everybody lands in the same game. So they're going to be removing that and building their own tower defense that allows more players, and again, is self-contained within the Remio world and experience that you are already in from the beginning here. So let's go and see some of that experience. And here we are standing outside the doors. And Jos is kind of explaining how this all works. Now, when you're kind of the leader, the administrator, you have this capability to lock the doors, because he said when they first started, people would just kind of run into these doors without any explanation or coordination, and kind of, the team would get broken up, and it would just waste time. So you could lock these doors so that people couldn't just run into them. But when they're unlocked, you can coordinate with folks and break into teams. and actually go into these experiences and have that experience like we had talked about earlier in the team building group experiences that we've taken part in the past, where we're maybe outside and you're doing these activities, but that's just not an option for us at this time. And so I think we're all going to run into the hide and seek area here, and I'll show you just a little bit of that experience, and then we'll move on. So we're getting a little explanation and primer on what to do, and I just go play with the lock. I think when I lock the door, big padlock, see, and nobody can go in, and then I unlock it, and then the door's open, and everybody files in. And there they go. Okay. And so you go into this area and you get a little tutorial about how to play. And you have the folks who hide, who get shrunken down into, little mouse-sized individuals. And then you have the seekers, who are kind of the giant people-sized individuals. So you go in here, and you'll see this come up in just a moment. It's kind of this very Legoland looking location. You have the blue team, you have the red team, and who's on what team. You're going to hit the button, which we're going to do here in just a second. Let me just move this forward a little bit, while we're getting some more discussion. And 7 of us, so there's 3 to 4. And we're going to go ahead and press the button here in just a second. And I just want you to see this because this was something that we all really, really had a blast doing. I mean, Yost had to kind of say, okay, you're done. So you all go to the middle, and then suddenly, I believe, yes, we grow, the others shrink, and then a timer happens. You get to see how the giants have to pump their arms in order to move. And the little lice people use kind of a slingshot action to teleport away and hide. And so here we are, and we have to run around, and these glowing orbs are what the little mouse folks are trying to grab, right? And they get 12 orbs, they win. If we get them before they get 12 orbs, then the match switches, and then the folks who are giants become the mice. Okay, there's one that got caught, and they go up into the base or the height, the container, and then you run around trying to find the other ones. Lot of fun. I mean, everybody was laughing, just having a good time figuring this out. And this is the kind of experience that you use to build the team, right? It's, how well are Raphael and Mitch and I working together to find folks? How well is the other team working together to hide and get the orbs? It has all these elements of the team building exercises that you might do when you're together, but you can't be together. And we had 7 people in totally different locations, states, even countries, able to participate in this and feel like we were together. So this was really well done. All right, and then we'll just switch, and then here we are, we're the mice people, and you have the little slingshot, and you teleport around, and you're trying to get up to the orbs, and the big giants are kind of throwing the capture balls at you, and I think I get captured here in a minute. There it is, yeah, boom, 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 and I'm stuck, so I'm up here. Okay, and then we came out, and we probably spent another half an hour just standing out here, kind of in the large open atrium area, just talking and sharing our thoughts and our ideas with Yost about the platform. So really good experience. So Remio's business model. Okay, Remio provides the software, the hardware, and the services, right? It's exclusive to the Quest platform. So they preload the headsets with a unique APK, or they provide the APK for folks who might have headsets. And then each event or business has their own mansion, right? That APK is unique to you. So the APK Yos gave to the team from XR for Work, the Facebook group. No one else goes into that mansion but those folks with that APK. The headsets are shipped out to the team then, and then the event is coordinated with the business leaders, right? And the folks from Remio help schedule and coordinate the session, help people get into the headsets, know what to do and how to join the events. And then longer term access beyond a single event is available. I do want to call out, this is snipped from their website, that, certainly they thoroughly clean and disinfect the equipment before sending it to their customers. I didn't ask this, but I might assume that they're using the UV light clean boxes between each event and between users, and maybe even swapping out facial cushions. Okay. And so what about their pricing plans? Okay, you get Oculus Quest 2 headset delivered to your door, set up with your APK, with your mansion, and you have a guided team building event, and that's $60 per person. So that's the headset, that's the shipping, that's the event, and that's for up to 20 people. Now, if your event goes longer than a one-off event, and maybe this is you're spanning several weeks. I know when I had to do these with my team, we had to break the team up across a few weeks because you had to have a team working while the other team was participating in the team building event. And so I could see that, I would need to span a couple of weeks with this, and it's, $100 per person then, and then you can get more than one event, 2 hosted events spreading a week apart. And then if you decide you want, to have your own mansion and this space available to your working group perpetually, the headset, the APK mansion, all the tools, $120 per person per month is what I'm reading here. Now, this will vary if you don't need the headset. If your team maybe already has headsets or work is going to provide a headset, this is all then negotiable with Remio. Okay, our assessment model, right? Consumption, retention, production efficiency. A lot of tools are still being built out, right? There are some very basic things. You can get together, you can meet, you can use a whiteboard, you can have discussion areas, you have the Jira board and the Post-it notes. There's some other things that are needed to be added. Yos is very upfront. They're all coming, still being developed. And what you're really buying into, again, is the idea and the promise of the platform as it's being shown to you now, right? And that flow, ergonomics, all that is kind of coming. But it's the social and the collaboration. This just gets the highest marks, right? To be able to be in a space, to have a memorable event, to connect with people in a way that you wouldn't normally be able to do in a VR meeting and collaboration platform. This is where Remio excels. And I think all those other technical aspects are coming. And then the value, well, the fact that they provide the headset to you, you don't have to buy that. And I think if you think about the cost that goes into a team building event, and what would you pay for somebody, to be out of the office for the day, to be to rent a space, to have people who are going to coordinate that, I would dare say you would probably pay more than $60 per person and maybe come away with not quite as good an experience. Okay, well, that's wrapping up this show. As always, we thank you for coming to us for your professional and business assessment needs for your platforms, and how spatial computing and immersive environments can really help make you and your business more productive and effective. So thank you for being with us today. Thank you for coming to XR for Work. Please visit us on our other platforms, and we'll see you in the metaverse. Bye now.